This video will describe this new 12-inch wide L bracket support for the Accu-Sled II Carriage for the slicing of larger boards than segmented rings on the Accu-Slice system. Recently, a customer contacted me about the availability of a large L bracket support for the Accu-Sled II Carriage. The customer wanted to slice some large segmented rings, and my first thought is you could just use the standard L bracket supports that we already have. These are 6 inches tall by 2 inches wide. You can just use 2 or 3 of these on here, put a sacrificial fence on there, and then clamp your board to the fence and run it through the Accu-Slice system. But the customer felt that he needed a larger L bracket support. He thought it would just give more support by having a larger L bracket. Rather than have to align 2 of these, you just have 1 on there. And it definitely has more surface area. It would definitely give more support. And so we'll give it a try. So as a result of that customer request, I went ahead and made about 6 of these to give it a try. As our standard mounting brackets, it mounts in these slots on the Accu-Sled II Carriage. It has 9 holes for the attachment of your different size sacrificial fences, and probably would be ideal for slicing, large segment rings. After the ring's been attached to a sacrificial fence such as this, you can mount it to that carriage and then run it through the Accu-Slice system. This particular segment ring is 12 inches tall, so we'll give this a try with our new system. So I made about 6 of these, and these will be available on my website if anybody's interested, but I only made 6 of these, and they'll be available on a first-come, first-served basis, so I don't plan on making any more because there's quite a bit of metal. Okay, I'm ready to mount my new 12-inch L bracket support to my Accu-Sled II Carriage, and I am doing this on my automated Accu-Slice system because I do all my ripping now on my automated system. But this could just as easily be done on our standard Accu-Slice system. I use my normal Accu-Slice system for doing segments, and this is my second bandsaw, which I just use for ripping with the automated system. But it works the same as our standard Accu-Slice system. So this new 12-inch long L bracket support uses the same keys, these brass keys that slide in the slots on the Accu-Sled II Carriage. And they just have a little different. Rather than use the hex head screws, I'm using these thumb screws. And I think they do a much easier job for changing carriages, especially when you change these L bracket supports frequently, which I use a lot because I'm always changing different size pieces of wood I'm cutting and different size brackets, so it's nice having the availability of changing these things more quickly, so these work nicely. And again, I adjust it so that it's flush with the front edge of the Accu-Sled II Carriage, and then lock it in place. And that's good, secure knot. I include up 2 segment rings. This is an 8-inch ring, and I have a 12-inch ring I'll run later, but I'll start out with the smaller one, the 8-inch, and see how it works. Just fits under nicely, and I'll drill some holes and attach the sacrificial fence to the L bracket support, and then we'll start cutting. So as always, for my first cut, I move the board to be cut right against my bandsaw blade, because I will be cutting off maybe a 25,000 inch scrap piece just to get a nice flat surface. I can move that back. Okay, I just moved the camera so you can see better what I'm cutting. And so my first cut, I'm just cutting off 25,000 to give me a nice flat surface. So I set up my system, it's all ready to cut. I am showing all these cutting operations at 10 times the actual cutting speed for viewing purposes. So let me actually go now and cut a ring which will be 25,000 inch thick, keep the same thickness. So this is a nice flat surface now, so I can cut my board. And there's the resulting ring that came off that piece of segmented disc there is 25,000 inch thick. And that kind of shows the power of the Accu-Slice system. It's pretty hard to do that with a regular bandsaw fence. But that's, and it's reproducible, it's fairly smooth. It just needs a little bit of sanding on the edges to get rid of some of the fuzzies. Other than that, that's ready to glue to make like an accent ring, for a project you're working on. So let me cut a couple more. I can even try cutting thinner. Let me go down another maybe down to 20 thousandths, maybe try down to 15 thousandths of an inch. So let me make it even smaller. So there I cut 3-segmented disc. This first one was 25 thousandths inch thick. Next one was 15, and this one is 10 thousandths inch thick. And that's almost paper thin. And that is really thin. I don't know if you can see the thickness, but that's thin. Again, perfectly flat, perfectly smooth. Once again, it just shows the power of the Accu-Slice system. You can never do that on a standard fence on the bandsaw. And this would make a nice, like a dividing or feature ring on a segmented bowl project. You'll have a contrasting wood between other layers of wood. And so you could I can make them thicker, of course, but just shows the capability of making thinner pieces. So let me go and put the other board on, the 12-inch tall piece, and we'll run it on the same carriage. I just attached this 12-inch segmented disc to my 12-inch L bracket, and I have it all aligned now, so I'm ready to cut off my first sacrificial piece, and then I'll cut some pieces, but I'll start off with 25 thousandths. So let me first of all cut a scrap piece off, and then we'll cut the remaining pieces. Well, I cut a number of discs with that, but they all split exactly the same point. This was a segmented disc I glued up probably 2-3 years ago, just sitting on a shelf. That's why I used it. But apparently the one joint right down here at the bottom had cracked, because every disc broke in the same place. And I was able to take these and put some CA glue on it and glue them back together. It did work nice. I cut the boards of 25, 50, and 75 thousandths inch thick. I did sand off some of the fuzzies to get rid of some of those, but they're nice clean surfaces on those boards. Well, I cut a number of segmented discs using this 12-inch long L bracket from my Accu-Sled II carriage, and it worked quite well. So this makes sense probably to use this for large segmented disc. The other thing it could be used for, if I was making like guitar backs, which boards were like 32, 36 inches long and 12 inches wide, it might even make sense to put 2 of these, one on each side of the carriage, and that would give you a lot of support for those big long boards. So that's definitely another possibility for using that, for using 2 of these. So I made about half a dozen of these. They're in stock, and I'll leave them there until they're sold out, and then they'll no longer be available. But I do have a few of these in stock. So that concludes this video, and once again I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, as always, please use the call or drop us an email. And thank you once again for watching. This is a new 12-inch long by 6-inch tall L bracket support for the Accu-Sled II carriage. It mounts into the T-slot channels on the Accu-Sled II carriage and requires 2 sets of the brass mounting keys. It's currently available on our website, but in limited quantities. It's made from 3/8 inch thick by 6-inch tall by 4-inch wide aluminum L bracket material, and is supplied with 10 mounting screws for attaching a sacrificial fence. 2 sets of brass keys, part number AS647, will also need to be ordered separately.